Welcome to Retirement with Jim. So today we're going to talk about the where you live and what that means to you in relations to cost of inflation for food, gas, things of that sort. So before we get started, if you like my content, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It helps my channel grow. And feel free to leave comments. Love to hear from you. Love to know if you like, you disagree, you agree, or more things you want me to talk about. So let's get started. So food on average is up due to inflation and I'm going to call it corporate greed by 30% since 2019. So here in Arizona, it is the cost of food is up 4.42% more than the rest of the country. So this information came from CashNet USA, which did a study on where you live and the relationship to inflation for the cost of food and mainly food, but they looked at a few other things too. So the list is, here's the following. So the highest, and then we'll look at the lowest. So they are in order. So the highest, and excuse me if I'm looking down, I am looking at my notes here. I can't remember all 20 states. They're not on the memory bank there. Hawaii is the biggest, the highest rather, excuse me, followed by Alaska. Now those two are understandable because you are living in regions, for instance, in Hawaii, you're on an island and many things don't grow there, aren't made there, so they'll have to be shipped in or flown in. Alaska is the same way. It does not have that kind of manufacturing. Beyond seafood, everything else is, got to be shipped into them. And they're at a much more remote location. So the next up is Alabama. Then the one that surprised me, Arizona, because that's where I live. And I'm like, wow, I did not know we were fourth on the list for the highest cost. Then comes Louisiana. And California. I kind of thought California would make the list. Tennessee, Virginia, South Carolina, and Florida. So those are the 10 for the most expensive. The least expensive is starting at the top of the list is Texas, followed by Maryland, then Wisconsin, then New Mexico, then New York, then Iowa, then Kansas, and Oregon, and Utah, and Massachusetts. So those are the lists, and kind of it begs the question for yourself: where you live, where are you on the list? What is the cost of goods based on where you live costing you? And if living somewhere else could be, a better thing to do. I'm surprised because I moved here to Arizona over 20 years ago. And at the time, I moved here because I wanted the warmer climate, and also the cost of living was so much better. Now I have to honestly say that has changed in the 20 plus years that I've been living here. And I knew I moved here long before retirement. I wanted to get ahead of the curve and go and live somewhere where I can enjoy the weather early on, which no regrets. But I was surprised at how high up the list we are. I filled up my car yesterday, and I was paying about $3.75 a gallon, and I put premium in based on the car I have. And I paid $4.26 rather, excuse me. So an increase of around 50 cents in 1 week. I was like, wow, that's terrible, And food and gas, two necessities you really have to, you have to have in your budget. You can't go without food, and to get around, you got to have gas in your car, unless you have an electric vehicle, but most don't. So it's, again, you're looking at the cost and you're going, wow, how do I budget when I have to suffer through those kind of increases? That means if you're doing your budget right, you are then having to take away from something else, to keep it balanced and stay on budget. And the greed part of what comes in is for grocery stores, their profits have outpaced costs by 6.8% in 2024. So they have really pushed the prices up, as we all feel the effect, and of course they blame it on inflation. But the fact is, inflation isn't the sole purpose of why the cost of goods gone up. I think in this case, a little bit of corporate greed has certainly come into play. The CEO from Cottonelle and Kimberly-Clark Products, he said this, and I quote, this is his saying: if prices go up in general, it doesn't mean you're going to use less, meaning we as the consumer. So not concerned about whether it's going to cost us more. They're going to keep their profits in line to what they want, and the prices go up, then, everything else is kind of like, either buy it or don't. A lot of times you don't have choices. You look at paper products like that, toilet paper, diapers, for everyone. That's, essential part of products that you buy that you need. So it points to the actual greed, that they have. And I'm surprised sometimes that some CEOs, how careless and, and cold-hearted they are in that sense. I guess it's, all that matters to them is business, and they're going to keep profits up at all costs. So kind of just points you in the direction of, what's going on. Now, the cost of goods has, as it has gone up, people have started to fight back in the sense that they're saying, I'm not going to buy these products. It now costs too much. Some things you can make choices and you can find alternatives to, and other things you just go, all right, I will do without that. So, for instance, PepsiCo and Nestle started to see their sales dip. And of course, they know it's due to prices and people are shying away from their products. So they have started to look at, do we need to have items more often on sale, consider lowering the prices? And they're now starting to take a look at that because people are just saying, whoop, stop, I am not buying it anymore. That is way too much, beyond my budget. So the cost of ingredients, the cost for grocers, the cost of ingredients, the cost of shipping, and the cost of wages have all kind of leveled out. So they don't really play as much of a part. So since the pandemic, many things went way up and out of control for a variety of reasons. But now things are starting to cool and level off a bit. Now, whether we see that as a reason that prices will get reduced and we can see some benefits from that, too early to tell. Not looking like it yet, but we'll keep a hopeful eye on it. Prices at Walmart and Target have started to come down because they're seeing that even their sales, which have traditionally been good places to shop for people, have also started to drop. So keep in mind where you live, and keep in mind that it isn't always about inflation. It is also about greed and the profits that the large companies want to make and feel that, they're going to need to keep paying profits out to their investors that are more important than the general goods of what they do for the general public. So all of that plays a part. So with that, I'm going to tell you, have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.